reason. And I think, hey, Mr. Marcy, how you doing? It's silent, Mr. Marcy today. Frank, how's it going in Bozeman?
Good.
Good. You guys are getting snow, I understand. Is that right?
You bet.
Yeah, you bet. We've gotten snow once in the year of 2018, so not good stuff in the area. Anyway, nice to have everybody, and we'll go ahead and get started here. I always appreciate it when folks take time out of their Fridays especially to sit in on our fan club and try to glean some things about what we do as a company and how to make your business better, so on and so forth. Today, in about 5 minutes, we're going to start talking about onboarding, which is kind of a weird subject because you're all part of the company, so ideally you've had some sort of an onboarding experience, but we want to try to we've made a couple changes administratively, and so we're going to try to put together an experience that is going to make everyone that joins our company go, wow, that was awesome. And I don't think we always get to that mark. So we will get there. But first, I wanted to just share a video that I think I've put out there before, but people don't see very often, and it's pretty cool. We were talking about with some of my agents earlier this week. It's a 2.5-minute video about the history of Coldwell Banker, which should be part of your story, part of your agent value proposition, because it's a really cool story as far as real estate companies go. So I'm just going to push play on the YouTube thing here and sit back and watch it. Oh, someone needs to be muted. Let me do that. Yeah, is that Adam? 406-451, I've muted you, even though I like those sound effects. Okay, here's a little video. Hope you enjoy it.
They created a beacon of hope from the...
I suppose I should share my screen. That'll help. Why don't I share my screen and do this? Okay, someone give me a thumbs up that you can see the YouTube thing here. Yes, 2 thumbs up, Jennifer, thank you. Okay, we'll go full screen and...
They created a beacon of hope from the ashes of the most devastating disaster in California history. They created an institution of tireless, loyal professionals, passionately dedicated to always finding a new way. And they began a legacy of innovation that's lasted more than 100 years. This is the story of how a college dropout, a deli machine set
Derek, there's no sound.
Derek, we lost the audio.
We can't hear anything.
Okay. Okay now? Okay, sorry.
The year was 1906. The world was just beginning to embrace the theory of relativity. The first Victrola phonograph was manufactured. And San Francisco was recovering from a 7.8 magnitude earthquake that left more than 250,000 people without a home. But the city by the bay wasn't the only thing in shambles. After public records were burned in the fires caused by the quake, self-serving, cutthroat real estate brokers turned pandemonium into profit by duping the tragedy's victims out of what little they had left. Appalled by the rampant lack of ethics, an energetic 23-year-old college dropout named Colbert Coldwell decided to create a company based on honesty, integrity, and professionalism. A year later, Coldwell met a former meat slicing machine salesman named Benjamin Banker, who just happened to be working for another real estate company in the same building as Coldwell. Sharing the vision for an entirely new kind of real estate company, Coldwell and Banker search tirelessly to find new ways to champion their customers and pioneer their industry. More than 100 years later, through this combination of unparalleled experience and cutting-edge innovation, Coldwell Banker continues to lead the way. As the first national company to launch a website, the first to have streaming video, and the first national company to offer buyer and seller guarantees, Coldwell Banker is a proponent of game-changing reinvention on behalf of consumers.
Okay, just a really quick little thing, and I don't know, I think it's instructive. The 3 words that they founded the company on, we still try to adhere to today, and I'm sure every company, every real estate company would say, well, so do we, but honesty, integrity, and professionalism. If you need to remember that, the acronym is HIP. Be hip. Honesty, integrity, professionalism. I think that's pretty cool. I will send that video link along, Carrie. Thank you for that. But the story, like as we get more and more competitive and it's harder and harder to distinguish real estate companies one from another, to be able to tell that story that it was founded by 2 guys who said no to the cutthroat and ripping off approach to real estate, I think is pretty cool. And we try to operate that way. I know it's hard in real estate sometimes because there's all sorts of deals being made all the time, and people have their own way of looking at things. But if we can use that HIP acronym, honesty, integrity, and professionalism, we will stay above the fray most of the time. So nice little video. It's kind of cool for me I like letters and words. Colwell's first name starts with a C, and Banker's first name starts with a B, so it's BB and CC, and looks like that logo has been around for a long, long time. So, and that's part of our story too, is that it's one of the most recognizable brands, real estate brands in the world, if not the most. You never have to explain, for the most part, what Coldwell Banker is because it's everywhere. 90,000 agents worldwide, 3,000 offices, and really a strong presence on both coasts. So for us resort markets especially, that's a very important thing because people coming from Baltimore or Seattle or LA or Florida to our resorts, they know and trust the Coldwell Banker brand. So we already have a leg up because of our history and our legacy, and leverage that brand when you can. The reason I started with this, even though we're going to talk about onboarding, is that to become a member of this company, Coldwell Banker as well as CBDP, it's helpful to know some of the history, not only of your own office, but of the Coldwell Banker company in general. And so to know that, hopefully you can weave that into your AVP, your agent value proposition, your elevator pitch, whatever. You obviously don't want to bore someone with a historical lesson, but to know that those are the roots of the company, those are the roots of our company, I think is helpful. So I will send that link along. Coldwell Banker YouTube channel has great stuff. I think it's the best real estate company out there in terms of generating content, whether it's that blue commercial we watched 2 weeks ago or this history piece. If you're ever trying to get a client to say yes to you and they're not sure about the brand, throw a couple of those things at them because it's really good stuff. It's cutting edge, it's fun, it's insightful, and so on and so forth. So that is what I have to say about that. We are now going to change our attention to the onboarding piece that I talked about. And to start, I want to, let's see, Margaret, where did you go? Oh, there you are, Margaret. Okay, you're going to unmute yourself so that we can all hear you. Hopefully you all saw the video from Todd and Keith a week or so ago discussing some of the changes that we've made from a corporate service standpoint, administratively. We know we've struggled with the onboarding. And as a company of over 200 agents, Bozeman just joined us in August. New agents are joining us all the time. We want to make this a better experience for everyone, whether it be the new agent themselves or the OM, the MD, the agents already in. We want this to feel good. And so we restructured a couple of things, and wonderful Margaret, who is going to wave her hands in a second. She's waving her hands. Wonderful Margaret, who had been the OM in the Grand Junction office for quite some time, has moved into what we're just going to call, and Margaret, you can correct me on this if I'm misstating it, basically the onboarding concierge. The person who is, whatever office we're talking about, is going to really work with an agent new to the company and make sure that all the I's are crossed and the T's are dotted. And I know I got that wrong, but I like the image of crossing I's. We're going to make sure that this stuff gets, sorry, Carrie, we're going to make sure that this stuff gets handled in a much more efficient, routine, and programmatic way so that people join us and they go, God dang, like the commercial, that was easy. And I don't think we always end up saying that. I think there's a lot of, because there's so many moving parts, there's so many people involved, and it becomes sort of like a stew of untold ingredients, and we're not even sure if it's nutritious. So that's what Margaret's going to do. So Margaret, now that I've just said everything that I was hoping you would say, do you have anything you want to say to us in your new role here out of the Grand Junction office as our onboarding concierge?
Part of my goal is to get everybody on coldwellbanker.com so they have their photo, their profile, and information about them in there. I am working on our 30-day onboarding piece that we have for all of the agents, the new agents. Anybody who has been in the business a little bit and would like to be included in that, please just drop me an email at mlang.gjhomes.com, and I will put you in that as well. We're also working on a CB immersion, which is all of the parts to Coldwell Banker. So it'll teach you how to change your web page if you want to change your web page. It'll tell you the history. That's part of what we do in CB immersion, is the history of both Coldwell Banker and our company. It's a lot of back office stuff that people need to know how to do, and so we're doing it in two different sessions. The first is a 30-day email session, and then the second will be done kind of the same way, but it won't be 30 days. So,
okay, it'll be like 200 days. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's right. That's cool. Yeah.
Okay, awesome stuff. And we're going to drill down into some of this without getting too weedy about it. Margaret, great to have you in this role, and I think you've seen up a lot of things that have stymied both the corporate service side as well as the OM and agent side. Hi, Rick. How you doing? So great to have you in. And Margaret, part of the point of this fan club is to get some more input from the people that have actually gone through experience, OMs, MDs, agents. Looks like there are a lot of new folks on the call today, so that's going to be very, very helpful. A couple people I'm going to mute. So by the end of this, we're hoping to have a few more insights about what can make this experience better and make it an experience. I was thinking about it last night. It's almost like when you bring a new listing onto the market, that's the best time to promote yourself as an agent, because you've got this activity, you've got these new marketing things, you've got people that you can say, hey, come and check out my new listing. It's a little bit analogous to when we bring on a new agent. Shouldn't that be the best time for our company and for all of our agents to promote that and trumpet that and be able to go out there and say, God, my last 30 days have been awesome. You should come to this company. This isn't all about recruiting, of course, but as we get bigger and as we bring on more and more good agents, we want this experience to be good. So that's what this is all about. Just so you know, Carrie, who at least on my screen is just to my right, Carrie Seriani is the new OM in Grand Junction. So Margaret has been supplanted by Carrie, and so the OMs, the MDs, and Margaret are really going to work over the next couple of weeks to make this experience something that we can be proud of and not something that we go, oh, shoot, I hope I got that right. Okay, so Margaret sort of gave an outline of a couple of things that the company is going to be doing. And again, no matter where you are, Bozeman, Montrose, Sun Valley, Vail, Steamboat, this is going to go through Margaret, who is in our Grand Junction office. And so we feel like we can do this remotely due to platforms like this, et cetera. So no one has to worry that this is only going to work for Grand Junction, although that's where the bulk of our new agents do come in. So that's probably a good thing. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, and you may or may not have seen this, new agents, OMs. I hope you've seen this. It's a little bit crowded, so it's hard to read, but I'm going to show you what we had been using to just sort of walk you through what these first few weeks would look like. And the point of this, especially newer agents, is to say, no, yep, more of that, less of that, get rid of that, didn't happen, whatever. And we'll be taking notes. I don't want to turn this into necessarily a bitch session, but constructive criticism is super useful at this point as we're trying to build a machine that's really going to work. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look not at that. I don't know why that popped up, but at this thing that we called Going Blue. And it was an attempt. This is for Bozeman, so if there's Montana stuff on here, I apologize. Call it a home court advantage. I don't know. I'm from Montana. Anyway, this is what we had been hoping. And again, new agents, if you hadn't seen this, that's part of the reason we're having this conversation, because there's so many moving parts to onboarding. So this is what we were hoping would happen. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Anyway, we were focusing on day one stuff, which is really administrative things about forms and all of that. Probably not a lot of comment on that, because this all has to happen in order for you to put on our jersey. All this stuff has to happen. So this will remain in play. What we had hoped would happen in the next set of days 1 through 5, we'd broken down into agent tasks and company tasks. And Margaret, we can unpack this, and we don't need to go through everything, but there was an attempt to try to get you to get some things done as an agent as you join us, whether you're brand new to the game or whether you're coming over from another office, as well as things that we would take care of in those first 5 days to make sure that you have some of the tools you need to get going. What we heard Margaret say is there's going to be some immersion classes about CB Exchange, about IQO, and so on and so forth. So a lot of these things will be taken care of in that. From the Sun Valley standpoint, and MDs and OMs, please contribute after I'm done here. Here's where I struggled. Here's where I think our office struggled with our newer agents. Again, agents new to the company. Right here, CB Exchange. Once you join Coldwell Banker, you get these 2 emails from corporate CB that have your new login and your new password, and it's like 9AD, CCPT, whatever, just a random bunch of things. And half the time it goes to junk or spam, and the other half you don't know what it is, so it just sits there. So we struggled to get you hooked into the big CB picture, because that's what those emails are all about. Margaret had already said that she wants to take care of this for everybody. I know in Sun Valley we try to do it as an ON and MD, but basically, we want this to be taken care of by Margaret. Correct, Margaret? Yeah. So, Margaret, I don't know, is there a way that you're going to get these emails directly from CB, or is this going to still rely on the agent to forward you this when it comes?
What I have discovered in the last couple of days is I can go into Dash, which Teresa and I have access to that, and I can put in a photo. I was playing with Ashley and Vale. I put in her photo, I put in her bio. It rolled over in about 12 and a half hours to her coldwellbanker.com website. So now she has a photo, she has a bio. So I've completed everybody this morning that I had photos for. And so those will fully roll over. I'm making part of our 30-day onboarding some of the more information people can go in and put into it. So that'll show up on their Coldwell Banker page as well.
Okay, so new agents, you'll still get these 2 emails from Coldwell Banker, and my advice is to do 2 things.
Oh, I like that.
My advice is to forward it to Margaret, and everybody will get her email address in the recording email that I'll send out afterwards, and forward it to your OM. Okay?
Before you forward it, if you would set up your user or your password and put that on the forward to us, that way we can get in easier and help you better.
Okay, because the password that comes in is a bunch of letters, and so don't go in and do that. Margaret will go in and do that. What you need to do when you forward is say, here's what I want my password to be, and it has to be a capital letter, the same as usual, capital letter, 8 characters and 1 number, I think. So. And Margaret will be able to answer any questions if you have any about that. Hi, Mr. Over.
Do we need to do the same thing if we want to say update our bio, or?
So what we're talking about with these, Susan's got a good question about updating bios and things like that. So keep in mind that there are two worlds that you live in as a CBDP agent. Hey, Steve, we saw that. That's awesome. Hope that wasn't to me. There's the Coldwell Banker big, oh, now I know why you use your middle finger. It was Keenan. That makes perfect sense. Everybody say hi to Keenan. Use your middle finger. No, I'm just kidding. There's the Coldwell Banker world that, you know, is the corporate thing. And then there's the CBDP world, which is IQO. Susan's question is, if we want our bios updated in the Coldwell Banker world, can we do that? And I would say, you know, that's beyond the onboarding. You can ask your OM or your MD to do that, of course. You can do it yourself if you know how to, if you want to log in. But yes, so I think the updating stuff would be more office-based. Margaret will simply be taking care of the new activity that happens for an agent when they join Coldwell Banker. Okay? All right, and OMs, again, like if this isn't how it works in your office, make sure you either chime in or clarify for your agents the way it works in your office. Margaret mentioned headshots. This has been a real struggle for new agents, especially new to the business, because headshots cost a lot of money. You can't just, and we don't want just, you know, you sitting around the fire with a marshmallow in your mouth. I know Steve would prefer that, but for a long time, you might be sitting without a headshot. In an IQO, you've just got that gray cutout that looks like a dead body outline. And so we need headshots of some sort. And so we need to figure out a way, and Margaret, maybe we'll have to figure this out between the two of us, but to get headshots a lot earlier in the game. Because we wait on business cards, your IQO profile looks bad if we don't have a headshot. So that's a piece that we've struggled with, I know. A lot of you that have come from other offices, you send your headshots along, and that's great, but it's the newer agents that we're struggling with in terms of this. So OMs, if you have any ideas about how this works, either email me or speak up now about ways that you've found successful ways to around this problem.
Another company, I take that back. But is there any way it's something that the company would absorb the cost on?
We're talking about that. You know, like I say, we want this to be an experience that agents enjoy and don't feel like, oh my God, not only do I have to pay to join the MLS, not only do I have to pay to, but now I've got all my headshots. It costs money. There's no doubt about it. But we want to figure out a way that makes sense for the company as well as for the agent to not make you feel like you have to go to the courthouse.
Surely somebody in every office is pretty good at taking pictures. You are. I mean, that could be a temporary until they got a sale and then
right.
Something like that.
Yeah. So if there is someone in the office and OMs, you know this, that has a good way with the camera, can do it as a stopgap, that would be, to me, that's better than having the gray and black cutout. But we need these to be, you know, fairly professional. So we'll find that balance and hopefully have a smoother routine that works. So,
yeah, one other thing, and this might have to be a separate discussion. I didn't even know anything about a profile in CB Exchange.
Yeah, and right. Okay, so that's
Maria may not even be set up because that's before Margaret.
Yeah.
Maybe only 1 month new when she joined, so I didn't know about that.
Yeah, she's not set up in CB Exchange or an IQ office.
She should be in IQ office.
Is she? Okay.
All right.
I kind of flipped through those this morning when you sent me the email about the writer sign. And she is definitely in CB or in Coldwell Banker. She's not.
Okay, we'll do individual things a little bit later. Let's get through some of the bigger picture stuff. That CB Exchange piece, it's tough. I know agents are like, "What is this?" I'm delete, and the next thing you know, you're not in CB. You know, I think everybody gets into IQO because of our OM oversight, but since the CB stuff goes directly to agents, that's why it's going to be really important for you to forward that to your OM and to Margaret so that we don't lose you in the big CB system. There's some Facebook stuff that'll all be handled in the immersion where you make like all the right things and you make your business page, make sure that your agency is Coldwell Banker, not where you came from or what have you. This is an important one, your voicemail. We'll make sure that you spend a little time updating your voicemail. So especially if you're coming from a different brokerage, you don't say, oh, this is so-and-so from Keller Wilson. because we want you to say Coldwell Banker. So those were sort of like the first 5 days. Then we moved into the days 5 to 10 where we create a coaching calendar. For the most part, Margaret and OMs, any agent that joins us, even in the midst of the coaching session, which started last week, we're probably going to put right into coaching, okay, in the right level. But unless they have a real reason that they don't want to do it, that's going to be an automatic thing. So we will make that part of this experience too. So here's the other thing that I have really struggled with newer agents in all offices is generating the database of your contacts, your sphere of influence, in order to get them into IQO so we can start using that CRM and start marketing your things to the people that you need to market to, your sphere of influence. This has been a real bugger. Like, I'm even thinking of the Godfather here, Mr. Schilling, who has had a great first 6 months as a CBDP agent, and yet it took us a long time to get his contacts in there. And honestly, Margaret and OMs, there's not a lot we can do about this. Like, we can't go into someone's email unless they ask us to and they give us all the login and stuff. We can't go into someone's computer and do this for them. This has to be agent driven. So agents, is there anything that we could be doing better to help you get your contacts exported into an Excel spreadsheet and then imported into the IQO system so that you can start using that powerful system? I feel like we keep our fingers crossed that you're going to send us people and then it either happens or it doesn't. Is there anything that we could be doing better that would make this a better part of the experience for the contacts?
Keep riding them. You've done a good job there, Derek.
So Susan said, just keep on them. OMs and MDs just need to keep saying, hey, we need.
Explain why more.
Carrie?
Derek?
Yep.
I was just thinking that when I got my IQ office set up, I already had a spreadsheet that I've been working on because I knew I was going to become a real estate agent. So I already had it set up, but I didn't know how to, change it to a CSV file or whatever and upload it. I figured it out, but I think if you were telling people when they were interviewing, coming to different offices and saying, hey, one thing you really need to do is have a database in a spreadsheet. And that way, because it's super easy to upload, you just pick your fields and then, upload it and it's all there.
Yes.
And then the other thing I didn't realize is how to set up the sources, like how do you figure out how you know this person? I mean, I figured it out, but it's those little things that as you're setting it up, you need to know to make it run smoothly when you go to use it.
Okay, so
it's just like these little tips and tricks.
Yeah, so MDs, Jennifer is suggesting, could do a better job of in the recruiting process and talking about coming on board of saying, hey, get this ready ahead of time. Put all your people in spreadsheet. Most important thing are names and emails. Phone numbers are come after that. But IQO is really an email-based system, so that's where we want the information, is emails, names, so that we can get that in there and you can start hitting your people with flyers, with updates about your business, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks for that, Jennifer. Any other agents or OMs? Lisa, M?
Yeah, Derek, I was thinking, is it possible to have a spreadsheet already, like a template set up that could be emailed to them immediately, whether by Margaret or the MD or myself, to where they have just a standardized spreadsheet to get going?
Yeah, we've sent that out before, and I think if it's available, and Margaret and the OMs will have to figure out, where do these things come from sometimes. You don't want both of us hitting them with it. But yes, we have a template, and it's in a CSV file already, because that's what IQO used. If you don't know what a CSV is, don't worry about it. It just is the way that IQO reads the spreadsheet. It has to be a certain thing. But yes, we can make that available, absolutely. Any other agents or OMs with spreadsheet?
Oh, I was going to say, oh, that's good.
Thanks for that, Lisa. Okay. Now, one of the reasons, and I've got this to look at in a second, one of the reasons we want your database in IQO is because you can use it immediately to send out a letter to your SOI. SOI stands for Sphere of Influence. It's all the people that you know and that you can talk to about, hey, I'm a real estate agent, or hey, I've just changed companies. I would love for you to call me with any real estate questions, or if you have anyone that is looking at real estate, to use me. So if you have all your contacts in IQO, you can send this letter out pretty quickly. And this letter looks like this. I think I'm still sharing my screen. So, and the OMs have this. And OMs, if you don't know where it is or whatever, totally fine. We're rebooting. But it's basically a template that says, Dear so-and-so, and it explains why you've changed companies. It has a little bit of the mission statement in here. But basically, it's a letter you can send to all the people in your sphere of influence that articulates your new role, why you've chosen it, etc. And this lives as a Word doc, so you could change it to whatever you want. But if we don't have your contacts in IQO, this letter can't really do anything. And you're just sort of hoping people hear on the street or whatever that you've joined our company, and that's not going to get the job done. So what we're trying to do is get your contacts in early, so within the first week or two, you can send out a letter to everybody. You can add a photo if you want, whatever. But you send out a letter to all your people, letting them know what your new role is and what your goals are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if we don't have your contacts in IQO, we can't do this. So Jennifer mentioned, talk about this in the recruiting process. And this would be part of it. As soon as you get on board, we get your contacts, and then you send out a letter from you explaining why you've made the change. And I think it's a powerful statement, especially if you change companies, because people want to know, why did you leave Bray? Why did you leave Remax? It's part of your narrative. Make a statement, make it bold, and it's going to convince people that, oh, this is why they did it. Now I want to go use him or her as my realtor for my next transaction. OMs, I'll, of course, send this to you again, and maybe not, because Margaret and I will talk about, and Teresa will talk about whether this is even useful or we need to change it up. At any rate, that is the main reason to get your contacts in IQO earlier than later. Okay? Can you email people individually through your own email? Yeah, totally. But IQO, that's what it's designed for, is to send 48 emails at a time, 200 emails at a time, and it can personalize them by name, by your contact name, so it makes it sound like, oh, she's talking right to me. My name's Scott. It says, hi, Scott, right there. Isn't that cool? Okay.
Hey, Derek,
Go ahead.
Jimmy here. A quick question then for, us agents that are brand new to the business that may not have a great spreadsheet coming from another company. Is there a way to reach into our Google contacts and IQO link up with our Google contacts, and we hit a couple buttons and all of a sudden that migration has happened?
Yep. Okay. So great question, Jimmy. That's a tough one. There's so many email platforms and everything that you can't just say, okay, here's how you do it, because Yahoo does it one way, AOL does another, Outlook, Gmail. But in every email server, no matter which one you have, there is a way to export your contacts and get all the information you have about them can be exported into a spreadsheet, usually with 2 or 3 clicks. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying that if you go online and say export Outlook contacts, it'll tell you the 3 or 4 buttons you need to push in order to have that happen. Once you have that spreadsheet, okay, and Margaret and I will figure this out, my advice to my agents here in Sun Valley has been, send it to me. Just don't even massage it yet, because it's going to give you 85 columns worth of information. And it's going to be too much information for you to process. So you send it to someone who knows how to look at this thing. They delete all the columns. They get it in the useful stuff. Then we would send it back to that agent, Jimmy, and say, okay, here's the information of all your people in there. Now get rid of people that you don't want in there. Add people you do want. Change the information as you see fit. But when you get this first master list, that's like your, I've used this analogy before. If you're running a camp, a summer camp, this is every kid at that camp. So no one goes in the lake and goes missing for 3 days. You need that master spreadsheet so you can account for everybody. And then as Jennifer said, you can there's a column where you can start breaking it up into, oh, these are the canoers, these are the art kids, these are the whatever. But we need all people on that spreadsheet. And then further, Jimmy, anytime you have new contacts enter your sphere of influence, maybe because you turned a buyer into a client, whatever, you've met people, keep them on that spreadsheet so that that's always there and you never have to go running after Outlook or IQO or anyone else again. Keep that master spreadsheet as sort of your number one place where everybody lives, and then you can add the IQO individually. But yes, so sorry, Jim, really long answer.
Derek,
yeah,
got a question for you. So I've got that spreadsheet that we created, when I first joined here, but I've been adding people into IQO and also into MLS. Can I repopulate or export this, all those people back, or migrate those files back together so that my file on my computer is updated?
Yes. So there's two ways to do that. And Robert, that's a great question. This is where it gets a little bit sticky. Like, I know agents, everyone hates doing double entry. I mean, I get it. You have to double entry your MLS sometimes because it's under whatever. I understand that that's a pain. So what Robert is saying is he put his original master list in there. All his contacts are in there. Great. Then he's been adding some directly into IQO without putting them on a spreadsheet. So is he going to have to go back through and one by one? I mean, yes, maybe. Or you can come to your home page and you use this customer relations file cabinet, and this is where you can export your contacts right here. And so basically, Robert, what you would do is you would export, and it would take anyone in your database, all the people you put in originally, plus the 84 that you've added in the last 2 months, and there's your new spreadsheet. And if you wanted, you could just delete your old one from your computer, and now here's my new one. And maybe once a month, do this so that your database, your spreadsheet is always up to date.
But it won't, you won't lose it.
You won't.
So can you just export that to your that database to that spreadsheet, and then it wouldn't create duplicates, clearly, right?
No, because you're taking, all you're doing is you're creating a spreadsheet of your contacts. It doesn't do anything to your contacts that live in IQO. It's just saying, oh, here's all the information, spit it out. They all stay there. When you are adding contacts, though, and it sounds like you know how to do that, you have to go into your contact file cabinet. OMs, I love referring to these things as file cabinets, so anytime you can do that, I think it's helpful. Okay. Sorry, IQ's slow today. My connection has been really slow in here. Anyway, here are all my contacts. I've got 4,000 in here because I have all the MLSs. It's not that I'm popular. It's just I have all of the markets MLSs in here. So if I wanted to get all these in one spreadsheet, I would come here, export contacts. But if I wanted to add someone, because I just met someone really cool on the mountain, I would come over here to New. I would click New. And I would say, here's his name, Robert Godfather, Rob in Vale at godfather.com. And then I can put him in a contact type. Maybe I want him here in SOI. Maybe I want him in my Sun Valley hit list. I can click on those there. And so anytime I email my SOI, he's going to get it automatically. Okay? Always at the bottom, and Margaret, please don't ever forget this, save is at the bottom right, which is the worst place in the world for it, but that's where it is. If you do a bunch of stuff and you don't come to the bottom right and save it, you've just worn your fingers out for no reason, okay? I'm going to cancel this one because I don't need another Godfather in my database. I have one, but that's how you add a new contact. To get him on your spreadsheet, you can do it right now and put him in your spreadsheet manually, or you can once a month maybe export your contacts, and it'll just add this person, the next time you export, okay? All right, let's see, go back home. Did that help, Robert? Maybe. I put him to sleep, excellent. I made him an offer he couldn't refuse, I guess. Okay.
Yes, that worked. I just
if anyone's wondering why I call him the Godfather, you just, let's see, I can't get it. He sits in front of this bookshelf that looks like he's got every book ever written. Okay, back to this. It's already 11:40, and I don't want to take more time than I need to. Part of what Margaret will be putting together will be training schedule for you, whether you do a launch or an AMP program or breakthrough by design, those sorts of things. We will make sure that we have something that looks solid and robust and gives you the chance as a newer agent to CBDP to learn the Coldwell Banker systems. Okay, so days 10 through 30. So through the first month, hopefully you'll have an agent video created with Step Beyond Media. That's our in-house videography team. Making it around a little less often to some of the satellite offices like us, but when Scott is in your office, that's part of the package, and I think we'll keep it, is making a new agent video that you can use on your site, that goes onto our YouTube page and just gives you that content that you need as an agent. Business plan, that'll be part of it. We had all of our agents, encouraged all of our agents to do a business plan for 2018. And so even if you come in March, we would like you to sit down and put together your Tom Ferry business plan. That'll certainly be part of it. CB Exchange training, CBDP website, personalization. Now, Margaret mentioned that there will be immersion classes on that. There are training videos already that live for this sort of thing. Please keep in mind, everyone, OMs in particular, that a full spreadsheet of trainings lives right here in Files, Documents Library. You know, if you ever are wondering how to do something, you come in here to the Education folder, and at the very bottom is something called the Training Video Spreadsheet. So whether it's about customizing your website, making a Facebook business page, using Instagram, learning how to set up a property watch through IQO, et cetera, all those videos live on the spreadsheet here. And we try to alphabetize them by subject. So lots of stuff here. If you're ever just like, what should I do? The phone's not ringing, my people are out of town, come here and watch a couple videos. Everything that we've produced, that Alexi has done for IQO, and that IQO has done, lives on this spreadsheet. And I update it about once a month. You can see what our toolboxes look like. Here's the business plan if you want to get started on that. Like Jennifer, you're pretty new here, so maybe if you want to do the business plan, come download it and get going on that.
That business plan is really extensive, and it doesn't really apply to brand new agents, all of it anyway.
Right. Yeah, the business plan is for experienced agents by and large, but it's just good. Like even just looking at it, opening it up, don't print it out, it's like 30 pages, but just looking at it will give you some good insights as to how to get your business going as a brand new agent. So again, this education, there's lots of one sheets. There's scripts for practicing how to handle objections, how to make your phone calls, how to do FSBOs, open house scripts. All that stuff lives here in the education folder in Files. Okay? All right, so that's a really useful file cabinet for everybody. And just keep in mind, everybody, like our toolboxes are super deep. I've been at this for 13 months now, and I have to go, oh my God, how do I do that? So you're always learning. You're always having to reteach yourself because the toolboxes are deep. But my advice has always been find the 3 or 4 things that you think are really good for your business, learn them, and be the expert at them and use those things. Don't try to learn every single thing, because if you're building a house, know the 3 or 4 things that are going to be good for you and let other people do the other stuff. Okay, that was not a great analogy. Anyway, I'm moving on. Global luxury. That'll be part of the onboarding, is that, and not as a new agent, you're not going to qualify because you need to have production levels, but it's just good to know what the global luxury standards are and so on and so forth. So that'll be part of it. IQ office training. Here's the coolest thing, or the worst thing. MDs, OMs, Margaret, me. IQO is going to be relaunching very soon with a brand new look and a brand new interface, brand new functionality. All the stuff that we've learned, oh, Carrie, it's okay. It's going to be better. I think it's going to be a lot better. But all the stuff that we've learned and become comfortable with is going to go, and we're going to have to relearn it, but it's going to be much more intuitive and user-friendly. Once it happens, OMs, agents, you're not going to see me for a couple weeks because I'm just going to go home and do a bunch of videos about how to use the new IQO, okay? And then we'll do some trainings in each office, make sure everybody can put it to the best possible use. So that'll be happening probably within the next 2 months is what my expectation is. And then Todd Conklin, phone call. What does this mean? I think it'd be great if every new agent called Todd Conklin on Saturday night in their first month at some point and just said, hey, what's going on? I thought we were meeting for beer downtown or whatever. Give them a little bit of a goose. Now, what this is supposed to be is we'd like, and again, Margaret and I will talk about this, we'd like for Todd to reach out to a new agent sometime in the first month and say, hey, how's it going? What are you getting? What do you need? Can we count on you to be talking to other people out there about your experience? Because again, we want this to be an experience. Okay, so we tried to keep this to one page, which is why it feels so crowded. And again, Margaret, we're going to totally unpack this, and it's going to look different. OMs, you may never see this again. But what I wanted to do is go over it with everybody to see where we have been. And now I want to spend the next 10 minutes, and then I'll let people go, of helping us figure out where we need to go and making sure that we have all the little pieces that make an onboarding experience truly great in place. So those of you that have been joined the company in the last 6 months or so, it hasn't been an A+ experience. I know that. What could we put in here that needs to happen that would make everybody go, this is fantastic? So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'd like just to hear for the next 10 minutes any thoughts about how we make this experience the very best in the real estate world.
Well, being the new, okay, no, Carrie's the newest now. The second newest OM, I think a lot of it has to do with how knowledgeable the OM is. I mean, fortunately, I knew Anna Maria, so that was a friend in a sense that I'm bringing on, so she could pardon my lack of knowledge. But the OM needs to really understand, and they have to be knowledgeable. Otherwise, it just isn't translating at all. I looked at that sheet, 1 month in, and I didn't understand what 2/3 of it was. So how can I pass that along and provide good onboarding?
That's awesome. Carrie's about to start crying here, but yeah, Susan?
I think also would be helpful would be to explain to a new agent what the hierarchy is. Who do you go to? What's your OM's role for you as a new agent? How can they help you? Your MD, how do they help you? Who's your designated broker when you, and it sounds silly, but it's, who do I need to call if I have a listing question or is this legal? What, all of those little questions. Sometimes I've gone, well, who am I supposed to ask about that? So I'm sure I'm not alone.
That's great. And here we are, a company with lots of levels. And so with those levels comes lots of do I go this way or that way? So that's awesome. We do have that spreadsheet that lives somewhere of Todd's here, Teresa's here, and then Liz is here, and then everybody else is under that. So we'll disperse that a bit more.
No, and that's who do you ask?
Yeah. Okay, what else? Jimmy.
Hey, Derek. Yeah, I think a simple sheet that has the definitions for every unique whatever that's out there, and it could be, okay, what is IQ Office? What is CB Exchange? What is, just think about all the acronyms that we use every single day that we just kind of expect a new agent to know. And there's so much coming in that first month or two that they get lost in all the different acronyms and, just like you said, all the different programs that are out there. So just, one sheet that somebody could refer back to and go, oh, he was talking about IQO. Now I know what that is. So something just, IQO, simple one line definition of what that is and why it's important to the new agents.
Excellent. Thanks.
Like a key.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's a key.
Steve, in your role as the guru in Grand Junction, what are you finding? Do you have any thoughts about gaps? I know you're working on the contract side, more about the business stuff, but are they sharing things with you like, I didn't get this, how come? Anything you can share with us, Steve?
There we go. I find IQ Office extremely confusing to use and just a pain in the butt generally. But I do try to show them this is how you do things, and it just, simple things, uploading your contracts, uploading stuff, and that's about it. That's as deep as I go with the new agents. I don't go any further than that.
Okay.
Just how to make the upstairs happy.
Excellent. Well, I think you do a pretty good job of that. I'm not down there, but Yeah. Good. Marion, if I can call on you, you're an experienced agent, and you've been with us probably for about a month, I think, if I'm doing my math right. So you're still in the thick of it, and maybe you're the wrong person to ask because you're in the thick of it. But you care to share any highlights or lowlights or things like, what is that all about?
Just making sure we're on everything and everything's set and flowing, and
so making sure that all of your presence is where it's supposed to be with both IMO as well as the exchange.
it's in so many different places that if you don't have a checklist, then it's just gotta keep track. That's all.
Okay, excellent. Joni, superhero, you joined us from your own brokerage, I think, and so I don't know if you felt like you had an onboarding experience. Do you have anything to share if you're there, Joni? May have lost her, which is okay. Okay, here are the issues that I've really struggled with is that, and never try to take anything personally, but like, so Jimmy's asking for the sheet that has all the stuff. So that lives somewhere. And then Liz is saying, I needed this thing, and it lives. So it's delivery sometimes, right? It's the execution. Like we put a whole bunch of one sheets together, a whole bunch of videos together, a whole bunch of explanations together, and yet still the stuff just, go. So how do we, I'm really curious on how we deliver it so that it sticks better. Because
tell us where it lives. That you're hitting the nail on the head totally. But there's so many, it could be in the drive, it could be on IQ, it could be on our computer. Where does it live might be part of the key.
Yeah. Okay. And that's great. And I think what we'll do, and let me just check real quick, I can't even remember in the documents library if we have something just called onboarding. I think we do have a folder.
Derek.
Yeah. No. Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't look for that.
One of the things that I think you do that's good are these fan clubs and focusing on IQO, because IQO is pretty complicated. But doing that once a week and going through all of that, I think that works pretty well.
Yeah, and so we're thinking about, and Margaret, I don't mean that you and I have had this discussion, but the fan club tries to be wide ranging and IQO this week and something else next week so it doesn't get boring, but maybe we just have like the Tech Tuesday has dwindled away a little bit because there's really not much more to train on in the tech world. I'm not a tech person and I don't want to get into the nuts. And so we've done most of our stuff, but maybe we turn our Tech Tuesdays, Robert, into IQO half-hour session. And you can come to it if you want, and if you're feeling good, you don't need to, but it's like every week, and maybe it would look the same almost every week, but it would just be a chance for people to get familiarity, relearn things over and over, and I can troubleshoot, answer questions, but that's something that we're thinking about. So and that's not really germane to onboarding, Margaret, but certainly having once a week, not the fan club, because I want that to remain wide-ranging, but once a week dedicated to a time when you can come and have your IQO questions answered might be something that we implement.
I like that because that way we can have those in our library.
Yeah.
And people that are coming on, we can show them where the library is and they can go and revisit those and learn what you're teaching in those classes.
Yeah. So, and part of the problem, as I see, is like sometimes I think our library is too big. I used to think of myself as like a smokestack in China, just churning out fumes. Like, and I'm making stuff, but it's just pollution and it's fumes. And, I feel like because of all the tools we have and all the trainings we've done, that it's just someone looks at that training spreadsheet, for instance, and goes, forget it. Nope, too much. I don't even know where to start. You get that overload paralysis. And so that's something I worry about too with this. We do have to onboard with a fire hose. There's just no other way around it. All the stuff we're talking about is all these tools, whereas what we really need to focus on, right, is what? You doing business. And sometimes all the tools and all the smokestacks and all the pollution gets in the way, I think, of going out and making your calls and meeting people and doing open houses. Like, So we need to find the balance of saying, here's what you need to know, but don't just stay in the classroom the whole day. Go out and apply what you know. Because if you think that just staying in the classroom is going to get it done, we're doing you a disservice. Because you need to go out and do it. So we're trying to find that sweet spot, that balance, and that applies to OMs as well as to corporate and certainly agents. You know, let's not get so bogged down in learning everything. The job is pretty simple, really. Call people, tell them what you do, be authentic, be an authority, and go make deals. I didn't mean to say the job is simple. I'm not a real estate agent. Steve, you can flip me off. That's fine. Okay, it is 11:57. You all have been great. Almost all of you. Robert, you've been a little bit overbearing. But hey, I really appreciate the insights. Just kidding, Robert. And it's not going to happen by tomorrow, but OMs and agents, we're going to put together an onboarding experience and a package that I think is going to answer a lot of our concerns and make anyone joining us feel like they got the red carpet treatment, and that's what we're after. If you have any other ideas or things that you didn't want to share, either pro or con, keep them to yourself. No, you can go ahead and email them to me because we want to make this thing work for agents. I'm not an agent. Margaret's not an agent. Teresa's not an agent. Are we coming up with stuff that has no application to you? Don't let that happen. Tell us more stuff, okay? Today is happy Valentine's Day next week. Share your love. Do all that good stuff. And thanks for everything. Kisses from Liz, and they go across the board. Wonderful being with all of you. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.